I'm Renee Gutteridge, and today I'm talking about Chapter 1 of my book, Listen. We've been going through the intro and the prologue, and now we're digging into the book in Chapter 1, and this is for readers who are interested in sort of the behind-the-scenes process of how I come up with characters and chapter ideas and plots and setting and things like that. And it's also for would-be writers if you're interested in how things are constructed in a book and things like that. Hopefully you will find this interesting. This is my book, Listen. It came out February 1st of 2010, and I've been real pleased with how it's doing so far, and I've gotten a lot of letters from readers, and I thank you for every one of them, and they mean the world to me, and keep them coming. I love hearing about what you thought of the book and if it's impacting your life. So today we're starting with Chapter 1. This is just sort of a casual sit down and talk sort of deal. I've done two before this, like I said, and this time my husband and I decided we need something in the background, so we got a lamp. So I hope that looks better. Maybe add some ambiance to our little set here in my living room. So it's snowing outside, which is just my favorite kind of weather and the perfect time to talk about books and reading. So in Chapter 1, that's always one of the most thrilling parts of writing a book for any fiction writer. It is extremely fun to just jump right into the book, but it's challenging to know exactly what to put in Chapter 1. You really have to think it through. Think about how you want to introduce the characters, what kind of setting you want to have. Tons of work has gone into the book before you ever sit down and write Chapter 1. Very few writers can pull off just sitting down, starting with Chapter 1, and going. And even if a writer says they're a fly by the seat of their pants writer, which means they don't outline very much, still normally there is some thought put into the book before the writing begins. So for me that is true, and I had been thinking constantly about three characters in particular for Listen. The first is Damien Underwood, and the second is Frank Merritt, and the third is the town of Marlow. And we get to know Marlow, which is a character to me. We get to know Marlow in Chapter 1. And when I was thinking about where I wanted to set this story, I really wanted it to be an every person town, where you felt like that could be your hometown or the town in which you live. And so I really thought through Marlow and what kind of town I wanted it to be. And I think you get to know what kind of town that is in the first chapter. We get to see the town through the eyes of Damien Underwood, who is the local issues writer and crossword constructor for the local newspaper. And so in the first chapter you get to know Damien and know that he's a main character, and we get to see just a little bit of conflict between him and his daughter, and you see sort of the difference between this great town and all that it has to offer, and you bounce that off of his relationship with his daughter that is imperfect. So you've got this perfect little town and this imperfect relationship, and how do these mix? And so I wanted Damien to be relatable, and I think that he is, in that, normally parents and teenagers don't always get along, and we see that conflict right away. We also get to meet Frank Merritt, and Frank was one of my all-time favorite characters to write. He's a cop in Marlow. He's been a cop for as long as he can remember, and he's a kind of crusty middle-aged guy, not old guy, but he's hardcore in some respects in how he deals with his rookie, but we also see that he's got a soft spot, and we see this on and on throughout the book, but Frank isn't all that he appears to be when we first meet him, and that's part of the challenge of writing the first chapter is you want to give enough information so that the reader wants to read on, but you don't want to give too much information because then it's all spilled out and you've given too much to the reader. So the first 5 or 6 chapters, including the first chapter, is all about balancing and sprinkling that information in so that you're giving just enough that the reader's interested, but not too much to where they're going to be bored for the rest of the book. And that's particularly true for the characters. You want them to be interesting, but you don't want to give too much away. And so that's probably the biggest challenge of chapter 1. And if you'll stay tuned, we'll be talking about chapter 2 in the next session.